Good day, this is Teacher Rowan. I'll be your guide in exploring Google Apps for education, for teaching and learning. In Google for Education, teachers can connect and collaborate easily while staying on task. It gives teachers the freedom to spend more time personalizing the learning experience and less time managing it. Students can learn essential skills such as 21st century problem solving, which they can use it in their future careers. As such, the accessibility features will also help and assist every learner to do their best work. Google offers different useful applications that we can use to connect education to technology. This will help our teachers as a 21st century educators to innovate and find ways on how to make teaching and learning more exciting, engaging, effective, and flexible to the demands of the society. Let's re-explore the education experience by discovering new angles to create, collaborate, and communicate as one. Para sa bata, para sa bayan, at para sa guro. Ang pagkatuto, huwag gawing komplikado. Sulong edukalidad.
Magandang araw, Sir Wilbur po, at your service. Narito ang ETUlay upang gabayan ka sa inyong pag-aaral upang lubos na maunawaan ang iba't ibang paksa o subject. Ang ETUlay ay isang free online tutorial class na pinangungunahan ng DepEd Educational Technology Unit sa pamumuno ni Undersecretary Elaine Del B. Pascua. Ang programang ito ay hindi lamang para sa mga bata, kundi ito rin ay magsisilbing gabay sa mga magulang at mga guro kung paano nila ituturo o gagabayan sa bawat asignatura ang kanilang mga anak o mga estudyante. Sa kasalukuyan, ang self-learning module mula sa rehiyon ng Calabarzon at kilala sa tawag na pivot ang ginagamit sa ating ETUlay online class. Kaya ano pang hinihintay ninyo? Ihanda na ang inyong mga ballpen o lapis, papel o kwaderno at samahan kaming itulay ang pagkatuto para sa bawat batang Pilipino. Sama-sama tayong magtutulungan para malampasan ang mga hamon sa panahong ito. Halina't matuto kasama ang inyong online tutor sa oras na ito.
Good afternoon, ETUlay learners and parents. Kumusta po kayo? We are now here on another episode of our tutorial class on 21st century literature from the Philippines and the world. This is Tutor Dick saying good afternoon first to SDO Olongapo City, headed by Madam Lailani Cunanan, our schools division superintendent, and good afternoon to Ma'am Mylene Minimo, our assistance division schools superintendent, to Sir Alan Toyogon, our PSDS for District 5B. Good afternoon, sir. And to Ma'am Loretta Figueroa, our EPS for English. Good afternoon po, ma'am. And of course, sa ating pong principal ng New Cablan Senior High School, Sir Samson Bukiron. Sir, magandang hapon po sa inyo. And to our academic group head, our Master Teacher 2, Ma'am Susan Laksamana. Good afternoon, ma'am. And to our Master Teacher 1 for the TVL group, Sir Richel Quinto, magandang hapon sa inyo, sir. And of course, to New Cabalan Senior High School teachers, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. ETUlay learners, ready your modules from Pivot. And here we go for our 21st century literature from the Philippines and the world, quarter 2, week 7. Ayan po, differentiating 21st century literary genres. Yan po ang ating focus for today. And for our objectives for this tutorial, we have number 1, let's try our best to describe graphic fiction and flash fiction. Yan po ang ating focus for today. 2 21st century genres of literature. And secondly, we'll try our best, you on your part with your pivot module, to read and respond critically to texts read. Yung mababasahin po natin ngayon, we'll try our best to read and respond to them critically as much as possible. Number 3, you'll try your best a little later on to write in one of the genres. No? It could be a graphic fiction or flash fiction. It's a surprise. Mamaya gagawin po natin. And number 4, present similarities and differences of basic graphic fiction and flash fiction. Kayang-kaya po natin ito. And the 5th one, The most important, I think, is to show an appreciation on modern literary genres, especially our featured genres for today, as an appealing medium to literary conventions. Okay, so here we go. Let's have first a recall uh, for this tutorial. For today, we're going to, since our focus is about 21st century literary genres, our recall would be about them as well. Okay? Determine what is being described in each of the following statements. Write your answer on a piece of paper if you have your pieces of paper with you. Let us begin. What do you think is being described in this one? Stories are told in dialogue through social network. Keyword, social networks. Ready? Let's see what is being described in this statement, or what kind of literary genre in the 21st century is being described in this statement. We could be from the keyword social networks, text stock novels, ayan po, blog, email, and IM format narratives, stories told almost completely in dialogue, simulating social network exchanges, very popular nowadays. Next one, we have here, in telling a story, writers usually combine three media platforms. So keywords would be three media platforms like books, movies, and internet website. Okay, what could be the kind of literary genre that is being described in this one? Yes, if you have answered, digifiction. Wow, very cool kind of 21st century literary genre. It is a literary experience that combines three media: book, movie, video, and internet website. In order to get the full story, students must engage in navigation. Wow, reading and viewing in all three formats. Very interactive. Okay, I have just I'm almost finished with one of the 39 clues. So I happen to have a copy of the 39 clues. Very cool one. No? Ma-enjoy nyo po ito with your brothers and your sisters. Again, third statement. What could be the literary genre being described here? Blog, email, and IMs are used as narrative formats. Ito po yung ginagamit ng genre na ito as narrative formats para magkwento. If you were listening and reading a while ago, ito po ay, again, text stock novels. Ayan po. Okay, there you go. Blog, email, and IM format narratives. Okay, stories told almost completely in dialogue, simulating social network exchanges. Okay, let's move on. Next statement would be, it is a humorous, paborito ng mga kabataan ngayon, humorous fictional genre. Okay, dealing with issues on, of course, girl power, modern womanhood. Okay, very popular, and I think becoming more and more popular nowadays. Okay, from the keyword woman, it is, yun po, chick literature. Yan, or more popular known as chick lit. Okay, according to Melissa Amster, it is modern women's literature, chick lit. Okay, hindi po ito yung inunguya, corny. Sige po, let's move on. Ayan, sa mga kabataan ngayon, grade 11 and grade 12 students, comic books, keyword, originally published in Japan, none other than manga. Yan, manga or manga is the Japanese word for comics. Yan lang po tatawag ng manga. It is used in the English-speaking world as a generic term for all comic books and graphic novels originally published in Japan. Manga is considered an artistic storytelling style. Very artistic po yan. Very colorful. Pabaliktad nga lang, kasi yun ang kanilang reading culture. There is also the term Amerimanga, and is sometimes used to refer to comics created by American artists in manga style. Ayan po. Okay, so let's now move on to our focus for today. The first literary genre we'll be focusing on will be graphic fiction, or in other books, it is also known as graphic novels. Exactly what are these graphic fiction, or what is graphic fiction or graphic novels? Okay, according to Eddie Campbell, 2007, a comic book narrative that is equivalent in form and dimension to the prose novel. Okay, think of novel, same plot. Okay, we have the exposition and then the climax and the ending, but there's just one very distinct difference, and you can see from the screen, meron po tayong ganito. It's like in the comic book form, no? A comic book narrative. Ano yung pinaka-distinct feature po nito, parents and learners? Pictures are arranged in sequential images or image panels. Ayan po. If you're familiar with comic books, so nakapagbasa na po kayo ng comics, ayan po tayo. And words are given in speech bubbles and text boxes. Kung di po siya speech bubbles, text boxes po ang ginagamit. So that would be graphic fiction. Our first focused literary genre for today. Let's have this a little activity from your SLM, from Pivot. Makikita niyo po ito. The title is My Freaking Alarm by Dean. Alright, it's actually a poem, but an artist transformed it into a short graphic novel. No, okay. So let's try to read this piece of graphic novel, My Freaking Alarm by Dean. As I lay cozy, all snug in my bed. Kita niyo po siya. I enjoyed the images inside my head. Who doesn't enjoy a very good sleep? No, nakaka-miss po itong mga masarap na tulog ngayon. Ano? Until I hear racket beside my bed. It's my 5 o'clock alarm. So, habang nag-i-imagine siya na natutulog siya, in-enjoy niya ang kanyang snoozing. Oh, there's a racket beside her bed. It's the 5 o'clock alarm. Next, panel boxes. Makikita niyo po itong, I quickly silent you, you annoying alarm. Then we snooze together and let dreams carry on. Sino po yung may mga ganitong ugali? I think most of us have this kind of attitude. Enjoying the peace, then I'll be darned. It's my 5:15 reminder. No, nakatulog ng 15 minutes. Oh, nag-remind na naman si alarm clock. Now I hush the ringing of my reminder. Okay, alarm, let's put that behind us. Ayan, ito pong isa sa mga paborito nating ugali. Snooze, snooze, snooze. Eyes just shut, but here goes that timer. It's 7:20. Oh my goodness, I'm late. Sino po ang laging nakaka-experience ito? No? From 5:15, I'm late. Okay? Let's process the whole short graphic fiction or novel. My freaking alarm. How do you think the speaker feel whenever it rings? This is the first question. No? Let's try to analyze the novel. How does the speaker feel whenever it rings in your SLMs? Okay, try to guess. Tingnan po natin. Ayun, let's take a look at this picture. Do you feel the same? Wake up, sabi ng alarm clock natin. And then, she is freakingly annoyed. My freaking alarm freakingly annoys me. According to po sa reaction, if you can see the reaction of the one who is annoyed by his alarm. She's freakingly annoyed. And if you answer this, you are correct. Next question. How do you think she reacted when she realized she was already late? Ayan po. Like most of us who would react the same. If you realize you're already late, here we go. Chill lang po tayo. De, joke lang po. We wish we could chill out. But still, the most common would be freaking out as well. So the author or the character in the story freaked out. Think so? Sino ba naman ang di mag-freak out, ano? So she freaked out. It's 7:20, I think. She's already late. Personal question on your SLM. Would you react the same way if this happens to you? There could be varied reactions to this one. It's your choice. Would you run in your pajamas to school? Or if you're running late for school, would you snooze it and go back to chilling and go back to dreamland? That's up to you. All right. The second one that we're going to focus on today would be flash fiction. Bakit kaya siya tinawag na flash fiction? Okay? Flash fiction is imaginative literature of extreme brevity. Take note of this keyword, extreme brevity. It could range from a word, just one word, to 1,000, according to Gakusan of 2018. Ayan po ang ating flash fiction, extreme brevity. Remember the word. No? Why could there be an extreme brevity? Because it could range from a word, just a word, the story is already there, to 1,000. So it doesn't say exactly how long it would be. Flash fiction. But the main point is it has extreme brevity. Okay, what is flash fiction? Okay, part poetry, part narrative. Flash fiction is also known as sudden fiction. Yan, pwede rin naman po natin siyang tawaging microfiction or stories that are limited to 50 or to 100 words. Short stories. Yung iba tinatawag silang short stories. No? So those who are fond of reading short stories, pag nagmamadali talaga sila, they would resort to short stories. And quick fiction is a genre that is deceptively complex. Why do you think experts would say this is deceptively complex? Why? Because Sustana says that most flash fiction have these three distinct characteristics. One, of course, na nabanggit na po natin kanina, it has brevity. Maikli, no? Easy to read because of its brevity. One of the most key distinct features of flash fiction. It also has, ito po yung kaninang deceptively complex. Because despite its brevity, it has a complete, what? Complete plot. Ayun, no? Extreme brevity, maikli, pero it has the complete plot of a novel or a short story. That's why it is deceptively complex. Kala natin ganun lang, but it everything is there, no? So exactly how do we do that? We'll learn a little later. Ito po ang pinaka nakakatuwa sa flash fiction, no? If you're fond of Eros Atalia, one of our leading Filipino flash fiction writers, or Dagli, mahilig siya rito. No? He always makes use of this characteristic of flash fiction, surprise ending. Wow, there's a twist at the end. Kakaroon ng twist. Let's see. No, our featured flash fiction story from your SLM is entitled "The Unlucky Winners" by Nikki Johnson. It was written August 2, 2019. Why unlucky winners? No, winner tapos unlucky. Would you like to win if you're unlucky? I don't know. Let's take a quick look at the quick story called "The Unlucky Winners" by Nikki Johnson. Okay, let's read. Each morning, Jim, take note of the highlighted words, walked to the corner mart for a coffee and a lottery ticket. For those who are fond of lotteries, no? Lotto. He always passed Pete and gave the same reply to the jangling of coins. So may nagja-jangle ng coins si Jim. At magre-react si Pete, sasabihin lagi ni Pete, half when I win. Okay? So whenever Pete hears the jangling of coins by Jim on his way to the lottery, he will say, half when I win. Okay? Pete invariably responded with the tip of his soiled red hat. Take note of the soiled red hat, no? Half when I win. Half when I win. Okay? When it actually happened, nanalo po si Jim, Jim searched everywhere for Pete. Kasi pinapangakuan niya po ng half kapag nanalo siya sa lottery. After months, his wife finally convinced him to spend the other half and home renovations began. Okay? So anong nangyari? Hindi niya nakita si Jim, but after months, there are home renovations with his wife. The following spring, working in the garden, my garden is Jim unearthed a familiar red. Take note of the wife and red. While lost in astonishment and horror, sa habang tinitignan niyo yung familiar red, lost in astonishment and horror, the faint smell of her perfume permeated among the roses before, bang, darkness. Nakakakilabot ng konti ang ating story ngayon. Why would I say that? Let's take a closer look. Let's answer this first question for our to analyze our flash fiction piece. What is Pete always wearing whenever Jim sees him? Ano po kaya sa palagay nyo? I don't have the comments. Okay, sige. So far, wala po nagko-comments. What is Pete always wearing whenever Jim sees him? If you were closely reading and listening, ito po ang ating clue. We do not know exactly what kind of hat Pete was wearing, but we're sure of one distinct characteristic. That would be the color. His soiled red hat. Why would it be soiled? No? Pag lagi mong suot yung sombrero mo, pawis lagi yan. That's what we mean by soiled red hat. Hindi mo inaalis. Mulan man bumagyo, magpawis ka man o hindi. You have your soiled red hat with you, so it will become soiled red hat. So yun po yung laging suot ni Jim, ni Pete, rather. Okay? Next question. Okay? After Jim won, Pete went missing. mystery comes in. Who convinced Jim to spend Pete's half of the money, yung pinangako po ni Jim kay Pete, for house renovations? So after months of searching, let's take the answer from the text itself. Ayan, no? Can you see in this picture? Imagine natin yan si Jim and his wife. Ayan po. At napakaganda ng kanyang wife and very convincing. Napaka madaling mapauto ata si Jim, no? Sabi rito, his wife. That's the answer. His wife finally convinced him to spend the other half and home renovations began. Yan, mga mahalaga sa mga misis, home renovations. Yan. Let's dig deeper to the horror part of the story. What is the familiar red Jim unearthed in the garden one spring that made him horrified? What do you think so? It is none other than, all right, let's get back to this thing. Pete's soiled red hat. Ba? Nanap mo si tropa mo. After a month, you were digging in your garden, you unearthed, may nahukay ka, a familiar red, and that would be Pete's soiled red hat. What would your reaction be? But Pete was horrified. Let's take a look. What happened? Bakit horrified siya? Especially if we're going to know what happened to Jim in the end. Kung titingnan natin mabuti. Okay? What do you think happened to Jim? Poor Jim. Okay? Biglang pumangat yung wife, ano? Tingnan natin yung text kung saan natin makikita yung answer. While lost in astonishment and horror, the faint smell of her perfume permeated among the roses. No, habang hinuhukay niya, and think of this. Nahukay ni Jim yung hat, and then suddenly, habang tinitignan niya yun in horror, bigla niyang naamoy yung familiar faint smell of perfume of her wife, and then, for darkness. Yan. What do you think could have happened to Jim from the word darkness? Very horrific. Sigurado akong hindi maganda. Okay? It could be the death of Jim himself. Okay? Activity 1. Let's get back to your module. Finding similarities. Okay? Let's focus on flash fiction and graphic novels. The previous activities discussed graphic fiction and flash fiction. Okay, write down the characteristics of 21st century literature present in both genres. Makikita niyo po yan sa inyong SLM from Pivot, doon po sa Activity 1, no? At mayroon pong graphic organizer doon na naghihiwalay, and you're trying to find out the similarities between the two. Okay, if you were listening and reading, okay, we could conclude that both genres have these three, no? They both have the elements of fiction. Kompleto po. We have the setting. Okay, review po natin. What are those 6 elements of fiction? We have the setting, we have the characters. Yan, si Pete do sa isa, and then yung author na na-freak out sa alarm do sa kabila. What else? We have the conflict. May conflict both in the short stories, in the 2 pieces of fiction. We also have the theme. Yung isa, medyo horrific yung theme, nakakilabot. Yung isa naman, very simple. Always running late for school, or responsibility among those who are using alarm clocks. We also have the plot. Ano yung simula ng story nila, ano yung pinaka-climax, and there's also the ending. That's elements of fiction. They also have, I think, the point of view. Sino yung nagkukwento? So my freaking alarm, we have the one who's using the alarm. It could be Dimeshidin or another character. So it's in the first person point of view. While on the other hand, it's a third person limited. Now may kinikwento po tayo. The narrator is telling something about another character in the story on the part of Jim and Pete. Okay? So that's it. They both have elements of fiction. And there is the strong encouragement to interactivity on the part of the reader. Why? Okay? If you're going back to graphic fiction, meron po silang panels and images, which encourages the reader to use his mind, no? Kung ano po yung ibig sabihin ng kanyang binabasa with the help of the graphic images and the text boxes. So, habang binabasa niya, naglalaro yung images sa kanya and what could be the total meaning of what he or she is reading. While on Flash fiction, mas matindi po ito because of the extreme brevity, especially at the ending. All other parts are being played in the mind of the reader. Ano kaya yung nangyari? The story is complete, the plot is complete, but the major part and the other elements play in the reader's mind kasi napakaikli nung binabasa niya. Or there are some flash fiction wherein hanging po yung ending nila and all the reader needs to do is to create his or her own ending. And that adds to the fun in reading both genres. Okay? Yan po. Let's move on to activity 2. I do not see, maybe there's a technical problem here. I do not see any comments. So let's move on to your SLM again. To activity 2, finding differences. We were finding similarities before. Sa activity 2 naman po, finding differences. Complete the graphic organizes by writing down elements unique to each genre. Makikita nyo po itong image na to sa inyong SLM. That's the graphic image. So we're looking for differences. Okay? So let's see, what could be the differences between the two? Yan. Let's begin. Distinct characteristic of graphic fiction. Of course, we have the orthographic forms. What do you mean by orthographic forms? Each author of a certain graphic novel or fiction, they have their own unique writing style. So distinct po yan. Especially those who are fond of reading comic books. Alam na alam niyo po ito. Kaya they always acknowledge the penciler, the illustrator, no? Actually, di ba, kung kayo po ay familiar sa Marvel Comics, kaya marami pong sikat na Filipino illustrators doon. So, meron kasi silang distinct orthographic forms. Pag nakita nyo po itong part ng graphic novels nito, you actually or outright notice kapag kayo po ay fans, oh, this is the work of this certain author or not. We know that if it's from Stanley or yung ating pong isang sikat na penciler, nalimutan ko po yung lagi nag sa YouTube, si Kuyang Pakyut sa YouTube. He's actually a very famous comic book writer sa Marvel. Sikat na sikat po yung lalaki na yon, if you remember him. And of course, graphic fiction or novels have image panels and space bubbles or text boxes, much like a comic book. Okay, because it's a combination of book and screen. Yan po ang makikita natin sa graphic fiction. While the distinct characteristics of flash fiction would be, yun po, unang-una po dyan ay brevity. Yan, lusulat nyo po sa papel niyo, brevity. And of course, interactive imagery compared to graphic fiction on reader's mind because of its extreme brevity. Yung reader na po ang nag-add up, and it adds up also to the fun in reading the flash fiction novels. And of course, ang pinakamaganda doon ay yung surprise endings, no, ng mga flash fiction pieces po natin. Okay? If you're fond of Eros Atalia, wag lang di makaraos. His collection, napakaganda po nun. It's written in Filipino, but I do think meron din po siyang mangilan-ngilang English pieces. But what is very distinct with Eros Atalia, he mastered this surprise ending. Very, very substantial, very fun when you read Eros Atalia's works. Okay? Now, if we're done with activity 1 and activity 2, let's go to activity 3. Kanina po, nag-compare and contrast tayo. Dito naman, this time, we pointed out similarities and differences. We go to activity 3, which is comparing and contrasting. Pinagsama naman po natin. And when we talk about comparing and contrasting in your SLMs, most of this involves the Venn diagram. You read 2 stories previously. Ang focus po natin dito, My Freaking Alarm and The Unlucky Winners, with their similarities and differences using our favorite Venn diagram. Makikita nyo po ito sa inyong SLMs. Opo. At ito po ang pwede nating ilagay sa may bandang gitna. Ayan, ang kanilang comparison. Sa gitna po ng Venn diagram nyo, they both have the elements of fiction. They both have the 6 elements. They call for reader interactivity, no? You need your interactive mind whenever you read them. And of course, yung dalawang featured pieces po natin, My Freaking Alarm and the other one, The Unlucky Winners by Nikki Johnson, they both have brevity. Pareha po silang maikli. Na? Alam kasi ng mga writers, mahilig ang mga readers ngayon, especially the kids, sa maikli but substantial. Okay, dun po sa kanilang outside circle, ang lalagay po natin for their contrast. The other one, sa My Freaking Alarm, we have images and panels, text box, and speech bubbles. While the unlucky winners, they have the surprise. On that part, the unlucky winners, they have the twisted ending. May murder story po kasi doon sa unlucky winners. If you're going to read it analytically. Okay? So that would be the outside circles of the Venn diagram. Okay. Now, what can you do? Ito naman po yung additional activities natin. You have examined similarities and differences of graphic fiction, flash fiction. Further explore the genres by writing a 30-word story below as a 3-panel comic or 3-panel comic book. Okay? You know, the kids nowadays, they're very good illustrators. Bata pa lang sila, even in the elementary period, ang gagaling na po nila mag-drawing. No? Sa daig pa po nila tayo. So our extra activities to enrich our lesson would be to create a 30-word story, to create a 3-panel comic rather, for a 30-word story. Our 30-word story, makikita nyo po sa inyong SLM, is by Francis Blismo. 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours, even a whole day. Try as I might, I can never extinguish this tiredness I feel. Medyo hugot po ito, itong ating 30-word story. Flash fiction po ang tawag dito. This unmade bed, it's just not for me. Pag malungkot po kayo, mga anak, huwag niyo pong masyadong binabasa to kasi baka ma-inspire kayo, no, sa paghuhugot natin. But this one could inspire you to create your 3-panel comic book. I don't have my own work. I'm really not good at drawing, but I took from the internet 3 samples of a 3-panel comic. Pwede nyo pong gamitin to. There are a lot of illustrations in the internet. You can have a lot of sources. And I do believe that you are very talented in this part. Now, marami na po ang talented dito. Look at this one. 3-panel lang po sila. These are 3 separate stories and they are in the 3-panel comic. So, yung ating pong kaninang story, 12 hours, 14 hours, we're going to transform it here into this one. And to guide you in your creation of the 3-panel comic, you can have this rubric from your SLM, how you're going to achieve the highest points, no, from the structure, creativity, and the mechanics. Yan po. Try your best to do it on your own, no, using these samples and some other samples that you can find using your internet connection. So that's it. Our quite short tutorial for today. This is again your tutor Dick. I'll see you again for our last episode on Tuesday, 4 to 4:40 p.m. This is me saying keep reading, keep loving what you're doing, but always keep it right. To God be the glory po. Good afternoon po at mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Sigurado ako na marami ka na namang natutuhan sa ating ETUlay tutorial session ngayong araw. Tandaan, ito ay hindi lamang para sa ating mga mag-aaral, kundi pati rin sa ating mga minamahal na guro at mga magulang na kaagapay natin para maituloy ang pagkatuto sa kabila ng nararanasang pandemya. Patuloy ding sumubaybay sa DepEd TV para sa mga araling ginawang video episodes. Mapapanood ito mula Lunes hanggang Sabado, alas 7 ng umaga hanggang alas 7 ng gabi sa inyong mga telebisyon. Abangan bukas mula 1:00 ng tanghali ang iba pang aralin sa ating ETUlay free online tutorial session sa Filipino. I-like and subscribe at manatiling nakasubaybay sa ating ETUlay tutorial session sa DepEd Edtech Unit FB page at Educational Technology Unit channel sa YouTube at sa DepEd Tayo at DepEd Philippines social media accounts. Paalam!